Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
So I guess first, we reached out to Brett, Sarah, and sorry, I don't have all the names connected, and Amanda, just to see what you guys would like us to cover in this session. So we may not be using the full hour, 45 minutes, because we really went over the highlights of base navigation in our previous session. So we can use this for more open Q&A, although there were some specific suggestions as to what to cover. So I'm not sure first if we had any questions or issues or concerns that you want us to review or cover now before we sort of jump into maybe a different demo. So I'll wait for anybody to sort of answer anything in chat. Or Brad, did you want to add anything? I didn't mean to speak for Brad.
I think Brad fell off the call.
Oh, okay.
I'm not seeing him in our participants list, so
yeah, I'm not either. Okay.
We'll just wait a second and hopefully he rejoins.
Sure, let me just check my Slack channel. He might have had something bubble up here. Uh-oh. Show me an image of his screen with like a big error message on it. So it's something on his computer is down. He'll jump in soon. Okay, so Billy has requested, I wouldn't mind again seeing what faculty and students will see when they log into Blackboard. Okay, so let me share my screen super quick. And I must confess that Brad has developed his screen to be much more sort of a slice in the real life. So mine's a bit messier. So let me share that with you so that you get to see kind of what happens when students jump in. And let me know when you can see my screen.
We're following, so we can see it.
Okay. Now, I have my notifications still on here. So whenever I jump to a page, it gives a definition, a pop-up of what you see. And I'm logged in as an instructor. So this shows up for as long as you sort of want to know more about it. And of course, you can say, don't show this again. But I don't do that because it's a demo environment for myself. But it gives a quick definition when you turn it on. It'll share information about the page. And of course, if you're curious as to what the institution page is, if you click on here, it will take you, this is a link that goes to the support page. So this is the Blackboard help navigation page. So it just kind of takes you to that information right there. And if you click on this again, what'll open is actually the old Blackboard help page. So there is support for you, like for those faculty who don't attend anything or students who miss all notifications, there is some support built into the page when they log in and go, what happened to our screen? So I can demonstrate. Anyway, so this is the institution page. Now, your admins kind of get to set a little bit in terms of where the landing page might be. So when you log in, you might land on the institution page. It may not be set, so you sort of land on the page that you left when you logged out. But sometimes you might want to land right on the activity stream, for example. And again, you have the pop-up here that shares what's going on in the activity screen. So the institution page, and I don't have this fully built out, but you could add an announcement here for the entire campus. If right now you're in spring break, so you might say, campus is closed for spring break, or there's a snow event, classes for this evening will be canceled, will be taking place online. You can have that kind of pop up here at the top. So that would be an announcement that would be campus wide. Maybe there's a big game or event happening on campus and you want students to know, so you just have that information up here, or something for faculty, right? Maybe grades are due at this time for all your students. You can have those announcements up here. This module page you get to build out. I'm not logged in as an admin, so I don't have editorial control of this page as the instructor. And then again, other announcements. So that's the institution page. What we covered was we kind of jumped into the courses screen. This is the list view of the courses screen again. And I'm going to click on the grid view again, so you sort of have those different definitions. In this demo environment, I don't have it separated between original courses and ultra courses. So when you guys transition to base navigation this summer, all your courses are still going to remain in original. If you get anything from what I'm showing in this page is that you can see that original courses and ultra courses can exist side by side. So if you're doing a pilot, if you've been asked to sort of investigate or build a course with ultra, your admin can kind of create that shell for you. You can start building it out. But again, you get both classes side by side when you're in that transition period. But when you launch base navigation, my understanding is that you'll have original courses. And so you will see in the grid view and the list view that, oh, this is an original course. Okay, so this lists all those courses. And again, you have the favorite option. So maybe you're building a course, or you have a course that you're working on or designing, or it's the course that has the hottest potato that you're working on. And so you can favorite that and it brings it right up to the top. Okay, so you can kind of have your own favorites. Students have this option too. So if they have a course that's really the course that gives them the most trouble, or it's the most like difficult or most priority for them, they can favorite that or unfavorite that to put it at the top. Sorry, there we go. Okay. We reviewed the activity stream. So the activity stream in mine isn't built out as well as Brad's, but it shows the most recent changes. So I've added a bunch of assignments, so it tells me what those recent changes are in the activity stream. Let me go to the instructor page because one of the things that you were, I think Amanda asked us to review was kind of setting up the instruction page. Now, some of this will be set up by your SIS. So not all of this information will be required. What's required is determined by your admin, so by your institution, basically. But I think I have all the options sort of available for what you would show. So you could have things, job information, company, job title. So you could have some of your CV here if you wanted to sort of connect students to sort of who you are, what you do. Maybe one of your instructors, this is they're instructing kind of on the side, and that might be in the field. And so they might have, their actual company information here. Your contact information, you get to update it here. Some of this may pull from your SIS and you don't have the option to edit it, but those will all be sort of determined on the back end. Here's kind of a fun area where you can add your pronunciation. So I could say, and I get to determine what the best way is to pronounce my name. So I don't know how I do, Mike. You can do the phonetic stuff, but I forget the phonetic stuff. So, so that would be my name. I could record my name, Michael. So here goes recording, Michael. And then it can play back that pronunciation. I don't think the audio will play back for you because I have my headphones on. But that's where it is. So I could say my first name and last name. So if you have, say your last name's from Eastern Europe and you have a whole lot of consonants and very few vowels, you could have that pronunciation there. So instructors and other students would know how to pronounce your name. You get to update your pronouns here if you want. If you don't see the pronouns that you want, you can make a request to your admin to add them. So here's all the information where you can change it in base navigation. One thing that's sort of consistent, I'm going to close without saving here. One thing that's kind of consistent in base navigation is when you're sort of building things out, the right side of your screen will have the information that you're kind of looking to change. Okay, so from your notifications page, you do have the ability to change what happens on your activity stream. So maybe you're building out a course or you're working with a colleague to build out a course. So you want to know when new content is added, but maybe you're building out a course and you're building out a course, so you don't need to know when new content is added. So you can kind of remove that and then save it. And so those things would update on your activity stream. You wouldn't see new content being created. Institution announcements, you can decide whether or not you need the institution announcements on your activity page, because they would show up on your institution page as well. So this is just the information you can even kind of get more information about if there's a specific wiki activity in your original course, specific journal activity, you can sort of drill in here. So all the information that shows up here, you get to sort of specify. Okay, I haven't been looking at chat. So is there anything else? Is there a question that came up in chat at all? I love the personalized experience you can tailor to your preferences with Ultra-based navigation. Oh, great. Thanks, Amanda.
And Mike, I'm back. I don't know if you saw my back channel Slack message with the screenshot of my crash.
I did. I shared that a little bit.
You're in good hands. You're in good hands with Mike here. So I'll let you continue on.
Okay. Here again, and this is really consistent in your base navigation experience. And of course, when you move to Ultra, it's kind of consistent. A lot of the build options sort of show up on the right side of the screen, with the base navigation remaining on the left side of the screen, with the middle content area sort of staying consistent. But email notifications, everybody has their own personalized email preferences in terms of what you want to be informed on via email. If you want to be informed in email at all, the email it goes to will be the email set in your profile. So right now, this is my the email I have is my blackboard.com email. So it's likely your institutional email address, but that's the one that would get the notifications.
Mike, could we pause there for a second?
Certainly.
So I don't see messages in the list. And one of the things we had talked about after the previous session was whether or not course messages would go to email. So that just kind of piqued my interest there to see if there was a way for course messages to be something that you're notified of by email, since right now faculty aren't used to looking for them and are trying to use email primarily even for their Blackboard courses.
So this is actually, Mike, I'll jump in here and answer this one.
I'll stop share then, okay?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Base navigation doesn't really affect the internal design and function of the courses. So messages in original courses are going to function the same way. Base navigation will just surface them into that courses area, into that messages area in the left side navigation that you see. And I can share my screen here, and I will cross my fingers and hope that I don't crash again here. Excuse me, where original courses, the courses you're familiar with Learn, don't have an email component that's integrated in with the messaging function, you're not going to get an additional function. With Ultra courses, when you eventually get there, as you start moving toward them, it's been rebuilt from the ground up. And so it does have an email component that's integrated in with that function. Hopefully that answers the question. I guess what I would say is the same way that base navigation is great because it doesn't touch your courses, it also doesn't touch your courses, so it's not going to change that functionality, right? It's a little bit tautological there, but messages won't appear in your activity stream, but course announcements will. So if you make and course announcements, only you or if you have TAs, people who have course authoring kinds of functionality will be able to generate those announcements. Messages are here, and that indicator is designed as a way of prompting you to know that you have messages that are unread.
I have a question, if you don't mind. So when you click on that messages, like, do you know which course each message came from?
So right now, it will show you that there are unread messages in the courses, but there's
Oh,
no
yes.
broader indicator. I do know that the product team is looking at enhancements to this interface to make it searchable, to clear messages at the end of a term, so you don't have unread messages that you may have seen somehow or acknowledged somehow. But so there's some refinement going on that will deepen the functionality here. But for example, it said that there were 9 messages. If I go into the messages, I'm going to see, and this is actually a student account that I logged in. I thought it would be useful maybe to see this, the consistency and the differences with the different kind of integration. But here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure where the other messages are living, honestly. But if I click on the unread if I click on the intro to biology, it will take me in, and it takes me, and then I can see that the unread message is in here, and I can jump to the inbox and I can review that message. Okay.
That's perfect. That answers my question. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, great. So I did want to show you while we were here, this is a student view. So one thing that's really nice, and I was thinking about this, is that, the existing Learn, and I'm going to leave my camera off because I want to reduce the likelihood I'm going to crash again. The original course experience you've used is it's a mature product. It's a well-defined product that's evolved over time, but I would not necessarily describe it as design. There's kind of an intentionality that goes with the word design. And when Mike was talking about on the page here with adding, if you want to add something, this peak panel, I think what you're going to find in Ultra courses, but you're going to start seeing it in base navigation, is kind of an intentionality and a consistency around design, right? So one of the things that's really nice is, I hope that one of the things you're getting from this is, it looks different and it looks unfamiliar, but it's kind of intuitive. Like the learning curve to use this is pretty straightforward. And the interactions that you have with it to do things are consistent. And that's because, unlike when Learn Original, way back when, decades ago, started and things were integrated into it, it didn't have the ability to put a stake in the ground and say, this is our design language, this is our UX approach. And so as Mike was talking about, that consistency of like the panels popping out, and that one of the things that I think is nice, and the reason it feels clean and the reason it feels consistent, is because when it started, and it's been a little while now, but when it started, there was an intention to make the design approach consistent, and as things get added, it follows that same design model. So I was going to show you on the activity stream. This is what I was talking about earlier. So this is a student view. I can look at grades and feedback. I have a bunch of stuff that's grouped here together, so this isn't quite as cleaned up. But views of all of the grade work. I can also look to see if there are assignments and tests. And so one of the things that's nice is you can get the full range of everything that needs to be here. You can add some filters, but you can also sort of review and select on demand. Okay. And as I said, as I went through, you're going to get different for the instructor view that we looked at this morning, that Mike was showing. The granularity here included things like student performance. Because Priscilla here is only enrolled as a student, those stream notifications aren't relevant, and so that's not available to her as an option to choose. Okay. Everything else works basically the same with this other persona, right? So here are the courses that Priscilla's enrolled in. Oops, I need to click the course, meant to click the star. Can select those favorites. If, summer registration is open, but the courses aren't available yet, but Priscilla's in there. She could see those courses. She won't be able to click into them when they're ready, but she can navigate through. It works the same exact way as it would for a faculty user. Okay. Same thing, we can go to the calendar. Nothing due today, but here are the assignments coming up. And again, can click on the assignment, it shows me the day. And then if I want to jump into it, I can, as the student, click on the assignment and it takes me. So here, if you think about this, log into base navigation, log into the calendar, log into due dates, into the course, rather than go to the course, drill down. You know, it offers some alternative workflows in some ways it offers some ways of jumping into the courses. Hang on one sec. Sorry about that. It offers alternative ways that you as an individual user want to interact and navigate with that, with those types of content. So it's not really, because base navigation sits on top of your course, it's not really what I would describe as focused on curriculum the same way, but it's the same underlying principles of sort of universal design for learning and trying to build workflows that are centered on how individual learners, how individual participants in these activities can engage with that content in ways that best suit what they need to do. Okay. Mike, I may pass it back to you if there are things additional. I may have to actually roll off a couple of minutes before the full end of the call, but I'm happy to answer additional questions. And I'd hope my participation would be longer in this session, but my crash had an impact on that. So I do apologize.
I have a request related to calendar, but it's associated with the instructor role instead of student.
Okay.
I was hoping you might show everyone how they can add a course schedule or scheduled office hours to their calendar and some of the new features there. It's especially nice that you can include the URL for like your Zoom link, for example. I think that faculty will really enjoy that new feature on the calendar.
Yeah, let me hop to that. So now I'm used to working on two screens here, so I'm playing window management, so my apologies here. So if I jump to the calendar, and this is where you can add different different kinds of content to the calendar. So if you add an event, it's going to add a single event. You can add it to a personal calendar, or you can add it to those individual courses. I think this overlaps with the earlier discussion we had about doing group messaging, that it would be nice to be able to add an event across your calendars. But at this point right now, you can add it to individual courses, or you could add it to your personal calendar. That's kind of a one-off for the event. You have the ability to edit the schedule. So if I hop in here, this is going to say when like my class meetings are, right? So this is going to be some kind of repeating event, something that pushes through. Again, this is done in terms of the schedule, it's done at the individual course level. You can add office hours, which is, and this is the functionality with the messaging and the calendar I was just talking about. It'd be nice if you could add to all the courses that you teach and lead that same kind of event, that same kind of repeating schedule if it was worthwhile, but you can add in your the date, you can add in, it's like any calendaring function, you can add in a location, you can also, whoops, there's my home address if any of you want it. You can add content, you can add a URL. So if you are using, for example, a link for remote learning, You can add a URL in here, even if you maintain, I don't know if you maintain office hours, remote office hours with a persistent room, you can add a URL there. So is that what you were thinking?
Yes, absolutely. That's just a change to the way that faculty usually provide a Zoom link to either office hours or if they're teaching a synchronous online class. I think that this new methodology would be more convenient. So I wanted to highlight that and thank you for doing that.
Oh, no, absolutely. So, and when Mike was doing the slides, I'll probably hop off at the 15-minute mark, but as Mike was talking about the slides and he was talking about the virtuous circle, sort of the reinforcement, one of the things that I really like, and I think this goes back to the idea of design, is you're doing things in your courses and you can put due dates in, but if students aren't looking at, reviewing, finding those due dates, it can be a little bit frustrating, right? But if you put those due dates in and it pulls it out into base navigation, into the calendar, right? It starts creating this dynamic where people are using the tools and they're reinforcing some best practices around even the courses themselves. The same thing here, I think, which is if you can start using the tool as a launching place for connected kinds of resources and activities like those Zoom meetings, right? That it starts to centralize and integrate, and it starts to reinforce some best practices around not having like 3 different things distributed across 3 different locations where you need to track it down. It centralizes that work. And so base navigation, I think really serves well at that base, right? As that centralized place that really doesn't, I don't actually think it exists with any other LMS. It's new, I would argue, in terms of our own tabs and modules, the landing page, what you're familiar with. It really is a central sort of locus that you as faculty can go to, students can go to get a lot of information, and then based on what you want to do right then, you can quickly make your way to it. So I do apologize for having to duck out a little bit early. I'm going to pass it back to Mike for the last couple of minutes, and I'm sure he will be able to help you. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to meet with you guys in the earlier session and this one, and I wish you well. I found at my old school, when we turned base navigation on, it was pretty transformational, actually.
Yes, thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
All right. Is my sound coming through okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. I just wanted to touch base. I saw Brett had a question about can students send messages from base navigation and if messages are turned off in an original course. And I don't recall if that question was answered.
Yeah, so just, I know it seems like we're really hammering on this messages thing. It's just that right now we have them turned off in Blackboard because it is like faculty at large just prefer to use email.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty significant change, even though it seems slight. And I understand the idea of centralizing everything in the course, which, you know, messages does. It's just going to be a bit of a transformation. So because they're currently off, like the tool is, as a course tool, is configured to be off. And of course, we could just answer this question through testing, but then what happens when that is still an option for students on the Ultra base navigation menu? You know, will they just click messages and nothing will be there because it's actually turned off in all of their original courses? And then when we move to Ultra courses where we can't turn it off, then all of a sudden there will be something there, is kind of what I'm anticipating.
Okay, well, I know with the calendar function, like you can add an event to your course from here, right? You can add, well, I'm sorry, this is a personal calendar as a student, so I don't get to add events to a course. So I'm in a student view. So you can sort of add things from here and it kind of, you know, tell yourself to start writing a paper or whatever. But when you're in the messages, to add a message, you have to go to the course. So if the messages are turned off from the course, it won't just show up here.
Gotcha.
So I don't have the testing set up in terms of the admin view. So you may have to kind of, confirm that with your testing, but just by clicking, if a student is here and they're trying to send a message, it's not going to magically turn on messages in their course.
Okay, and hopefully I know we've had a lot of questions with this group in particular. I think that's the answer, is that although the messages are going to be visible, like messaging as a tool is going to be visible on the menu, the students won't be able to send the messages if we have them turned off in the course. And then we'll have some time to collaborate with faculty between now and when we move to Ultra Course View about how we want to roll that out and how that practice will change on campus. So that answered the question for me.
Okay. And then I'm not sure, I don't know if I could do this. Yes, I can. Trying to link the calendar to a personal calendar, but I'm in a student view, so that shouldn't matter. Hold on. Sorry about my clicking here. Close. I don't want to save. All right, there's a. So the chatbot gets added in base navigation. It's just this bottom right thing here, so you can go to chat support, and what it does, it just connects you to the Blackboard help pages. I don't know why it's taking a while to support. Usually it asks whether or not you're coming in as an instructor or a student. So here I'm just say I'm a student. And if I type a message, it should take me to the, how do I add it? I can type. Okay, so here we go. If I want to add an external calendar or share my calendar, let's say I want to add an external calendar. It'll show me more. And this just pulls information from the help.blackboard. And if I click on it, it takes me to the help.blackboard. So, and then it goes through the steps of how to watch a video about adding a calendar, find and navigate the calendar, etc. And it says whenever you're in help, it'll say you are viewing the Ultra Course View content. So this is showing base navigation for Ultra Course. It sets for both original and Ultra Course View. So here's how you add a calendar to iCal, or you add your Google Calendar. So these are the steps that you would take to do that. Okay, and again, just in terms of oh, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. I don't remember being shown, or I remember they showed it, but I forget all the steps. That support is there for you within base navigation. So let me sign out and then sign back in as an instructor. Okay, and here, because I have the information page set up, I have the messages I'm coming here for the first time. Again, it shows how to, here are the links that will take you to help.blackboard that tell you all the information about the calendar. Adding external calendar, choosing my view, create and edit. So I believe here, let's see. Oh, here it is. I apologize. Here is where I add a calendar. And I can drag and drop the calendar file to upload here, or if I want to share this calendar so it goes to my calendar link, then here's the copy of the link, and so I share this link with whatever calendar I wanted it shared with, whether it's your Google, your iCal, whatever calendar you yourself might be using that may not be sort of the institutional calendar that's on Blackboard. Outlook, for example. Okay, I see there's a question that showed up in chat. What's the question here? Okay, to Will, messages will not be sent to our email until we move to UltraView. Okay. Did that
Am I
answer?
understanding that correctly, Mike? That, because I think we already covered this question previously, but it was maybe not so clear
Mhm.
that messages can be synced up with email in Ultra Course View, but not when we're still on original courses.
So this is I just clicked on one of the Ultra courses, right? So if I click on an original course for messages, it takes me to the messages area of the course itself. But and this is as an instructor, but if I click on one of my Ultra courses I have in here, oops, sorry, if I click add, like I want to add a message in there, then this is where I can add any of the students, or any of my, whoever I want to have as a recipient. I can type the message and I can send an email copy to the recipients. So yeah, so you get to choose whether or not it goes to your email or not, or part of the design is to some institutions want all that communication around the course to be held within the LMS. So for any arbitration or issues about grades or behavior, they're not chasing after several different communication streams. It's all maintained within the LMS.
Great. Will, do you have a follow-up question?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So when you're sending a message through this new system, you can copy it, have it sent a copy to your school email, right?
Yeah, in Ultra, if you're in an Ultra course, but here, I mean,
Right.
in original, it's not a base navigation, just surfaces like the link to the base navigation area. It's not a new area of the original course.
So
Right.
I guess my question is, let's suppose we're 2 years down the road and we're using the latest and the greatest. Is your system smart enough that you can have the messages from Blackboard sent to your school email from students? And if you get that in your school email, you can respond in your school email and it sends that message back into the LMS message. Does your system do that?
Currently, what it does is it takes you back to this page. So sometimes you may receive this from different services where it says like you've received a message from so-and-so in your Blackboard course. It has the message and you have to like click to reply, and you don't click to reply because the message is coming from like, the server or the blackboard.com server. So you can't really reply to the message. But if you click to reply within the email message, it will take you to your Blackboard interface where you can reply to the message in Blackboard. That's how it currently operates. Currently, I don't want to say, I can't forecast what will be available in 2 years, only because we are having a flurry of updates coming out specifically for Ultra to bring much more, to remove a lot of the obstacles that some of the clients have in terms of why they may or may not want to move to Ultra, just in terms of one question type that isn't well supported in Ultra, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to, I don't think it would be fruitful to discuss what would be available in 2 years, only because I can't project how far we'll be along there. So
I'll just mention quickly, I'm used to a different system where, so yes, you have the messages on the left side of the main screen. So that gets sent to your personal email. When it goes to your personal email, you can reply in your personal email, and it keeps it in your personal email, but it also is smart enough to send it back into the message, but not going into what you just showed me there, that you click something and it opens up Blackboard again with a message, because then your school email doesn't have a copy of the response. So that's all. It's just something that I'm used to.
Yeah. Currently, if you were to switch to Ultra today, your school email institution shouldn't have a copy of the response, but the LMS would have a record of the response.
My only concern is if you did need to copy someone outside the class on the email response, it causes extra work because you'd have to copy it out of the LMS to a different office at the school. It can become very tedious.
Okay.
And I think Brad had talked before about how we're able to submit ideas like that to the Blackboard development team. And so, Will, I'm happy to do that and see if it's some functionality that Blackboard might be willing to develop in the future.
Brett, I also think it's a policy thing as well. Like I was saying, we use this feature at a previous institution that I worked at. So the messaging within Blackboard would be only for the course specific. So if a student is contacting me about an assignment or so on, that would all be done through Blackboard. If it's something that required outside institutional people to get involved, that would be done through email. And that distinction was just made very clear by the institution. So for example, if I had to email a student about an academic offense, that would be done through, say, my Blue Ridge email address versus the Blackboard email address, because that requires some external people to be involved. So it's in part just a policy decision. But I use this feature, like I said, in Desire to Learn, and it was really fantastic for keeping emails compartmentalized and keeping stuff out of my my main email. That was just for, I had no student emails in there. Everything was done through Blackboard. No, we'll have some academic advising, but yeah, it's just kind of policy, I think.
Thanks for sharing that, Kim.
Yeah, thank you for that insight, Kim. I think there's always going to be some sort of demarcation line, right, where there might be other individuals you may want to include on a specific email, academic advising, something that may not be something that would be appropriate to sort of have looped into a course communication. But I think you're always going to reach a line where it's like, no, we want this to be sort of an institutional record kept via email versus course communication. So hopefully we'll be able to expand that circle of communications to be maintained within the course, while adhering to how the institution itself wants to manage those communications so that one doesn't overstep the other. But it will be a line that will be shifting in the future as we sort of expand capability and customizability with it. So.
I think the message is popping up here in chat, so just catching up.
Okay.
And I was messaging with Billy a little bit, and kind of to put it out there. I know this is a change from what we currently experience in our instance right now, and a lot of us, don't use the messaging tool because it is it's another way and it's another place for messages and things like that. And kind of what Billy and I were talking about is we have some time until this, takes effect for us, and it's good we're becoming aware and kind of prepping for this. But we are a year plus out from Ultra courses. So when this would, start to affect your students sending messages and things like that, where it can't be turned off. So things could definitely change by then. Like Mike said, Blackboard is always taking information and tweaking it to meet the needs of the client. So e-learning will fully ensure that we, meet with faculty and say, hey, here's what you need to do if you don't want to use this for this purpose, or you want to use it for this purpose. So I think this is all good to kind of get everyone thinking about the impact the messaging tool will have once we make that switch to Ultra courses. Yeah, so Kathy, that's a good point. So a lot of the students that some of us teach are also our advisees, so they could send a message in a course that you may have them in about an unrelated topic. So you'd want that in your email. And Kim brought up that great point of just kind of outlining some procedures or policies, if it's institutional wide or course wide for your students. That's something you could definitely outline in your syllabus and say, hey, you know, if it's something pertaining to advisement or other things, please send that via, you know, your institutional email account. So these are all great things to think about. Mike, thank you for all of that. And thank everyone for all these great questions. If there's something we didn't get to, which I'm trying to keep up with chat, there's been a lot going on there. And Billy and whoever else asked about seeing our instance, Brett, Amanda, and myself have a test instance, which is not, you know, our production instance that looks exactly the same, which we're setting up right now and testing to make sure when we roll this out to you that everything functions how we want it to. So you will see that at a later date. And if you want to ask one of us to kind of give a look at it, that's fine too. That's not an issue. But we're in the process now of getting that all set up, putting some final touches on it to make sure it's ready to go so that it looks and functions beautifully for everyone for summer courses. Yes, Kim, communication plan. If you don't have a communication plan in your syllabus, I highly recommend it. Outlines some great just expectations for your students for their communication. And I also put my communication in there and when they can expect a response from me and things of that such. So that's a good one. Thank you, Kim, for that. I think now, let me see here. I got another message. Okay.
And let me just share also just in terms of transitioning to Ultra, there is no plans at Blackboard currently on the horizon to sunset original. We continue to support original, we continue to update it. So if the plan is to sort of move into Ultra in the fall of 2023, and by summer you're like, you know what, we're not ready because of X feature or Y feature with communications or institutional policy doesn't match, you know, that is a decision that you guys get to make in terms of moving it, you know, closer or farther out based on the functionality that you desire. But overall, to ease those concerns, you know, and Brad says this very well. He says that everybody who's in the original course view knows how it works because they had to learn. But for the most part, Ultra as a course view is easy. As you intersect with communication and policy and whether or not students obey that policy and follow that policy, and you're dealing with people and faculty also who might overshare or share, you know, information at the wrong time, we're always going to be dealing with how those communication channels shake out into policy and appropriateness and what's contained within the LMS and what shouldn't be, et cetera. So that's just where technology is taking us, I think.
Yes, we're all available in so many ways now, especially with being remote, you know, Teams, Slack, email, Zoom, chat, cell phone, text, all of that. So yeah, so we just want to kind of plan on kind of honing that in, making a distinction of how we want to communicate with our students. The good news is we have some time. So this isn't something we have to worry about happening next week or for summer. We have some time to figure this out. Mike, thank you, and Brad, so much. I know for me, even had been working on this for months now. Amanda, Brett, and myself chatted a little bit earlier. You know, we're still learning stuff, picking up and kind of getting some pointers. So we greatly appreciate it. And I know our faculty that joined us today also greatly appreciate your time and getting to learn about these things. I will point out, as Brett mentioned, a couple messages up. Once we start prepping faculty to move to Ultra courses, so not navigation, courses, we have a whole training scale planned out for you. You're going to get access to a test site. So you will actually have a test site that isn't our production Blackboard. It's to test, which means you'll have access to go in and build a fake course and send fake messages and send fake announcements and enter fake grades to kind of figure everything out. So while we get that space, you know, that's how we kind of roll things out to you. Faculty will get that as well. We're not quite ready for that yet, but it will be coming, and you'll get access to that, which I think will ease everyone and give you a space to test these things out, which will be great. All right, so let's pick our winner for our giveaway here.
Well, let me just say thank you for allowing me to participate and to share. Sometimes I speak far too long, so thank you so much for your patience and for letting me answer your questions to the best of my ability. If you have other questions, Angelica is a wonderful resource, as you know,
Yes.
Yeah, but reach out to any of us and we'll get back to you as needed. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Mike.
good luck on whoever gets the next spin of the wheel.
All right, let's share screen here. All right, we are giving away our backpack with USB charger built in. So these are entries. Now, okay, everyone can vet that Kim said in chat. Let me go back to make sure I'm not making things up. That she said if she won again, if I win a prize, please roll the wheel again and award to someone else. Okay, so Kim is very lucky today, needs to play the lottery or something. But we're going to spin again by Kim's request. Oh, this is like the Wheel of Fortune wheel. You're not really sure where it's going to stop. So Will Shipley is our winner for the backpack. So Will, that'll be in